Hello and welcome to the Hugh Hatrick channel and the Hugh Hatrick show. It is great to see you all on a very special night indeed, because we have the Sim Motorsport Association, the stars of SMA. And this week it is Tier 3 who are going to be questioned until they'll be sweating away. So make sure you've got your questions ready for them. But we've got a great group of guests here. A very warm welcome to you. I will go through you all. Oh, I think someone's maybe got that in the background. I can hear a little echo. They might need to turn it down a wee bit if you're playing it on YouTube. But I will introduce you first of all. It is Sahida. Welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Thank
And
you.
to Fred, good to see you. And to
Yes, Fred.
Sean, good to see you,
Hugh.
Sean.
Good,
And
good to see you.
and to Scott, our youngest guest on the channel tonight. A very warm welcome to you today. It's great to see you. And we are going to get right into the questions. Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome. And to everyone who's watching, it's going to be exciting. So make sure you've got your questions ready for all your heroes here of Tier 3 and the SMA. That's right. That's what we've got here. We've got some fantastic drivers. So I will get started. Sean, as you were the first person to turn up in the pre-studio, I will start with you. Just give us a quick kind of background on how you got started on sim racing, or whether it was GT7 or whether it was a longer history. How did you get started in sim racing?
I've always been a motorhead, mostly motorcycles. You can see in the background, my whole man cave is covered in motorcycles. So I used to race, and when you get a bit older, you don't bounce as well as the youngsters like Scott do. So it becomes a lot safer to rather race online. So I did have, I think back when there was still a on GT3, maybe GT4, I got a little steering wheel and then lost track a bit. And then recently I got GT7 on PlayStation 4, and an old friend of mine who was a photographer at the track days, Sven, who's Blade in the racing series, he said, why don't you come and join us and race online? So that was October. And this is my first full season. So it's been a huge learning curve. So yeah, that's my background to online racing.
Fantastic. That's great. And I'll come to Sahida and ask the same question. So I hope I've pronounced that correctly.
Okay. Yeah, let's first go to Scott and Chicken Wing. I am here representing alongside Fred. So let them have the say first.
Okay, no. So I'll go to Chicken Wing first, because I know that Robin had told me that you're driving in a rig, but you have certain disabilities, and it's quite an interesting thing, obviously, having sim racing, because you can adapt that to what you need. So how do you find sim racing with these kind of aspects? What have you had to do to kind of make sim racing work for you?
Well, basically, like from a young age, my dream was to be a professional athlete. If that was like in rugby, cricket, and then I developed scoliosis at the age of 11, I think. And then like my life completely changed, and I couldn't follow my dreams doing what I wanted to do. But that time I was already performing at the highest level in my rugby and cricket. So after my back operation, the doctors told me I can't take any part in contact sport anymore. And basically from there, um, after or just before COVID, I told my mom, listen here, I want to start doing professional sim racing. My dad was actually a professional driver as well. He drove micro midgets, so I had a background of knowing how to compete at the highest level. My dad supported me in that and helped me to get there where I wanted to be. and he passed away in 2012. So I didn't have the support that time with the money and that wise. So my mom helped me actually buying my first wheel, and from there I fell in love with the sport. And I think sim racing can really help disabled people that say for instance got injured in a car accident, or um at like a disability from a young age, to perform at the highest level that they can be. And I think now that sim racing is so growing, not in South Africa but around the world, I think it's amazing to see how the community has grown together.
Yeah. Yeah, it is great, isn't it? Because it's like even from the different age gaps, you can still, if you're kind of good and you practice, and I think if you have reasonable tech as well, then you can compete, isn't it? It can really help you to compete in the different leagues and different championships, which is fantastic. Now I'll quickly go to Scott, as you're the youngest here. How did you get started in GT7, and also in sim racing? What's your story?
So when I was very young, before I even turned 1, my dad owned a sim rig, and he kind of tried to show me the basics I didn't really understand. But from there on, it just got more and more competitive. I honestly didn't touch a rig for about 7, 8 years of my life, and then I got back on when I was like 12, and from then I've really just enjoyed it. My dream is to one day drive in real life, but obviously that's very, very financially hectic. So for now, I'll just stick to sim racing, and yeah, I'll just do as best I can with what I have. So this is my first year competitive sim racing. So end of last year, I started the Quali Kings Championship, and then beginning of this year was my first real championship, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Now, excuse me, I was going to ask Fred about what he thought of the SMA quality, but he's coming and going a little bit. So I will continue on. So let's have your thoughts now that you're into the penultimate, in fact, the last race there, coming up this Monday. Let's have your thoughts on the SMA Championship, and how you've enjoyed it and how you feel with the results that you've had. Are you kind of happy where you are? I'll start first with Sean.
Well, I'm a competitive person by nature, so I'm not happy where I am. I would much rather be in tier 2. But yeah, it's a good start. I mean, this is my first season. We had to do seeding process, and obviously I was put exactly where I'm meant to be. I certainly haven't sort of been at the front of the pack, mostly because of my lack of experience of racing sims. I have all the racecraft from racing motorcycles. I know exactly what I want to do, but to translate that into the steering wheel and make the car do what I want it to do, and if it's able to do it, is something totally different. It's been a huge learning curve, and it's really nice being part of a team like TNR. It helps because our practice sessions that we have is often with guys like Levi or one of the top tier guys, and they're obviously giving us tips and lines and where to change gears to get the best drive possible, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a huge learning curve. Next year, I want to be in tier 2. That's it.
That's it. That's the goal. Oh, fantastic. Now to Sahida, how are you finding the championship and also your performance? Are you happy the way it's gone, or do you have any other ideas or other ideas for the championship?
It's been going well. The second round of the championship, but actually, I am a tier 4 driver. Myself and Fred will be having a little bit of a chat afterwards. So once the other guys have done their part, myself and Fred will introduce our Quali Kings to everyone else as well. But as far as the championship goes, it's been great. Like I said, the first round of the first half was difficult. The 08 cars for me was a bit difficult, but the 2016 cars are actually quite nice to handle.
Yeah, yeah. And what kind of rig do you have? What kind of equipment do you use?
Myself, I've got I recently flipped over to a TGT2. I started on the T300. I haven't flipped over to the load cell pedals yet. I don't want to do that mid-season either. So it's just a basic homemade rig that I made myself.
That's pretty good. And the TGT2 is a really nice wheel. It's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
could
perfectly
feel
made
the difference between the T300 and the more directness, and yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Now, Fred, you're here. I've got a special question for you that Robin was telling me that I had to ask you. It was the main question I had to ask you in the whole for when you're on. Is how the SMA Quali Kings was started and what it represents.
Sorry, I keep getting disconnected. That's why I keep coming and going, but I don't even know if you can hear me right now.
I can hear you now. Yeah. No, it's all coming through well.
Okay. All right. So I can't remember how long ago, 3 years ago, maybe. Getting on a bit now, so the memory's fading. But it was during a period when we were having excessive amounts of load shedding. And I was just trying to keep the guys busy and there's something to do. And so it wasn't really any turning the light on moments. It was simply using the daily race qualifying where you go and set your qualifying time for the dailies and turning that into a competition between the guys to see who could set the fastest time in any one particular week. The nice thing about it was because load shedding is different for all the different provinces and stuff, you've got from a Monday till a Sunday to set your fastest time, and you can do it when it's convenient to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we sort of turned that into a competition, and slowly we started
I think he's just gone. Oh, we'll come back to Fred when he gets back. Now, I've got a quick question for Sean from Sir Mags.
Yeah.
He says, where is your pilot's cap and why are you not wearing it?
I'm not fast enough for that anymore.
And going on from what Fred was saying then, so how do you find doing the SMA Quali Kings? Because the races are always variable, isn't it? Every week you get something new. Do you have a particular race that you like, or kind of a particular time trial of the race A, B, and C that you like to do? I'll go to Chicken Wing.
Must I answer now?
Yes,
sorry, guys, I got disconnected again. I don't know why.
So I think like I'm currently in tier 5, so and it's actually benefiting me because it helps me grow in my racing because is it Sean, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, like what Sean said, I'm a very competitive guy and I love racing my entire life. So I also recently got a new setup, the T300 as well. My other T300 actually broke, and I got new pedals, and with the new pedals, my old pedals were actually not the real T300 pedals. And when I got the T300 pedals, it was just amazing to feel like the brake pressure that actually the T300 pedals actually give you, and how you can have control over your car, easily more control over your car and balance with the traction and so on. So I love the competition, and now that Motorsport South Africa is like actually supporting us, it's really amazing. Because at the end of the day, we also professional athletes, I would say, and we sacrifice a lot to sim racing, and yeah, so I love the association, the community. They're very respectful, and it's amazing.
Yeah, you do find that there is great camaraderie, actually, isn't there? As the season gets on, you know, people are really, you know, there might be all be a points battle, but there's very respectful racing. Certainly, we found that in the most part on in Tier 1. But I think that, you know, it's a great example right the way through the whole series, that people are keen to do their most, you know, be as fast as they can, but they're still talking to each other at the end of it. I know there are. I have to say, when I do see the outcomes of any incident reporting, having all that red in the background makes it look so serious, doesn't it? Of penalties and all the rest of it, and you think, oh goodness, what has happened? But no, it's running it professionally, and I think what's great with sim racing is that it may well provide a way into real motorsport, isn't it? Into, you know, from virtual to reality, and we're seeing that in some of the top forms of Gran Turismo and other games as well, aren't they? If you can qualify for the top rounds, you could well end up winning something pretty major. So yeah, so I can see why, especially for you, Scott, being a young one, you can see a path potentially to try and do something. And I do think that it is the way into motorsport now. I think it's been because for a long time, motorsport has been very expensive, and it didn't really have a new way in. You either watched it as a spectator, or helped as a marshal, or did something when you were young, and eventually you could afford to get a go-kart or something, wasn't it? And get in that way. But this has opened a lot of doors for people to come into the sport, which is really good. That so for you, Scott, what time trials do you tend to kind of specialize in when you do the Quali Kings?
So I really hate understeery cars and I love oversteery cars. So whenever it's a understeery car week, I just think, oh, come on. But when it's an oversteery car week, I'm so just excited, and I'll just grind out the hours to get that fastest time. So yeah, honestly, the track doesn't really matter to me. It's just more the car.
Yeah. Did anyone like? Oh, they had that one about 2 weeks ago at Tsuba, and it was that Honda Civic on race A, and it was just the most horrible. I found the most horrible thing to drive. I just got my new wheel, and I thought, God, why have I just spent that money on this car? It was horrendous. All it did was oversteer or understeer. You couldn't really go in a straight line with it or get it around a corner. But did anyone share?
It was actually a track, one of our Quali King tracks, and I loved it. I actually loved the track. And there was, I think it was the if you used your own car, you would be struggling to actually set times. And I told some of my team members, just use a rental, and they're like, "Wow, we just went a second quicker." And I said, "Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. When it comes to Quali Kings and it has road cars, I love it."
That's the thing. Now we've got a few questions. I'll quickly go through. VSR JDG says, "How old is Scott?" I think he's fearing his competition.
46, eh? I think you're 46, eh, Scott?
Almost. I'm 14.
17.
14.
Oh wow. Oh, 14.
14.
Well, you're in the perfect time to learn the craft, and to get good. That's the thing, because you've got the best reactions, and so yeah, no, that's the way to do it. That's fantastic. Well, now JDG will be shaking in his seat now that he knows how young you are and how much better you're going, how much more improvement we can see for you there. Now, I've had a quick question as well from Salim. He's saying, "How is the T598 treating you?" Very well. I've managed to do better times. I'm getting used to it now. So yes, I wasn't pulling my hair out anymore, thinking, what have I done spending that kind of money and trying to convince my wife this is definitely worth it. She doesn't see the bills for what I spend on my rig. But yes, no, it's going well. So let's see. We will go through now. Rue has asked the question: does Scott follow the F1 commentator trend of saying tank slapper for a car? Now, Rue is an old biker, so he's saying that to a youngster.
I know that phrase too well.
Yes, that's it. A tank slapper, because that's for a bike, isn't it? Not for a car.
Mm.
That yes, so that's one that you always have people in the comments who will always say something just to, and they always just to catch you out. That here we go. Right, now we'll just quickly look through. Yes, now there was a question that I had earlier for Mami, for Sahida. They were saying, what is it like when you beat your husband in a race? What is your reaction?
In driving.
Well, like we would say in Afrikaans, I took your duck. So yes, he knows it out well. He knows that I'm very competitive. He was actually in the last interview that you had, Wiki.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, it's even. Either he does it or I do it. But
yeah, that's it.
no one gets to sleep on the couch.
Oh, that's that's pretty good then. Yeah, it's good to see the rivalries, though, isn't it? I think, and what's nice about the sim racing is that you can have a lot of fun doing it, isn't it? I mean, it is, if you get nice tracks and you enjoy GT7 especially, it's a good experience, and it is fun. You come at the end of it when you've done a race, and you think, well, we've finished where we finished, hopefully in a good place. But it can be a lot of fun, and certainly from watching the races as we've been commentating on them, they have been very exciting. And you just never know what can happen, isn't it? Because the strategies have played such a big part. So it takes a lot more than just driving, isn't it? You've got to think well ahead and try and revise for that. I'll come to Sean with that one. How do you find that what's your preparation for strategy for the SMA GT500?
So because we belong to a team, it makes life a lot easier. So normally what will happen is once the race gets announced, the track and the car, whatever the case, luckily with the series we knew ahead of time, so we went and practiced on our own. But the week before, normally on the Tuesday or Wednesday night, we start practicing for that particular race coming up at that particular track with the car. And you'll have guys, let's say, checking the soft tires, what sort of laps they can get out of it. You'll have guys on the mediums and guys on the hards, and then various strategy combinations. And if you keep doing that, after 2 or 3 nights, you'll quickly realize, certainly guys like the tier 1 guys can maybe stretch the tire life by extra lap compared to the more inexperienced guys. But generally, you get a good setup, a good idea of what the strategy should be. And yeah, I guess strength in numbers, it's the best way. It's like Ducati in MotoGP. They got 6 bikes. There's no way no one else is going to beat them because they got more data than everyone else. So that's kind of the idea.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one. I mean, when I was talking to Sean in the commentary, and I basically said to them on the live show, I said, just do what Levi does. If he goes 2 mediums, go 2 mediums. Whatever it is he might do, because he seems to get that strategy and could come from almost nowhere and end up winning. So yeah, no, it's quite impressive. But the strategy, just like all good racing drivers, you've got to be fit enough more than just to race, but to be able to think as well, isn't it? And continue that on and give that consistency, which is great. And Nicholas Van Staden has asked a question for Sean. He says, what or who motivates you to put the hours in and get the times you need to keep up with your teammates?
The person that's directly ahead of me in the log. So, yeah, it's nice to be part of a team because there's great camaraderie. Everyone's out there to help each other. You might say that you're struggling at this particular track with the car, and then the guys all on the group will say, listen, try this, look at my video. And in terms of motivation, there's never a lack of motivation. It's just to win, really. That's it for me.
Yeah. And for this penultimate race that they're having, the last race that they're having on Monday, where they're using the Aston Martin Valkyrie at the Red Bull Ring, how are you all looking forward to that? I'll go to Chicken Wing.
I'm actually terrified because I haven't drove the car before in any sim racing game. So I'm quite excited and nervous. because I think in real life you don't drive the car manually, and I drive as well manually. So I think with the force feedback and stuff, it's gonna be quite challenging for me because I'm so short. So yeah, yeah.
And how about you? How about you, Scott? Are you looking forward to the Aston Martin Valkyrie?
Yes and no. When I keep it on track, I'm really quick with it. But most of the time I'm not on track. So it's kind of ridiculous to drive, but when you get the hang of it, it's kind of fun.
That's it, isn't it? Because it is so quick. It's going to be one of these cars we have to use much higher gears, I think, isn't it, to kind of get any kind of grip out the corners. But it does make an awesome sound, though, which is something to behold. Oh, we've got Flawed Genius Gaming is here. Sean is here, and he's saying hello to everyone. And it's good to see you. Good to see you, Sean. And we've also got Welsh Boy 76, and we've got over 30. At one point, we had up to 34 in the chat, which is fantastic. And we've got Wiverman as well in that there. Now, there was a question earlier on for Sahida. It says, it's from Sir Mags. Now, it says, is Sir Mags your favourite? Yes or yes?
I'm not going to answer that question for him. I'll let him. I'll let him think about it. Maybe next week. Maybe next week, if you ask that question again on stream, then I'll answer it.
I'll have to remember that one then. That's the thing. Now we've got a question for Puma Scott from Captain Slow. He says, who is the quickest sim racing team in South Africa? And he's asking for JDJ.
You mean currently or in the future? Because if you say in the future,
it must be currently. We'll go for currently.
Currently, unfortunately, they have Levitas and all of them, so probably TNR. But in the future, I think Puma's going to come up there.
Yeah, good to see some rivalry, some competitive spirits that's in there. That now, let's see. We're also going to have Stephen Kernick, who is the chairman of the MSA, and we're going to ask him as well what he thinks of the Sim Motorsport Association. So hopefully he will join us at some point in the very near future. But your new championship, the MSA Championship, starting in just a few weeks' time. What are your thoughts on that championship, and what are your goals for that? I'll start with you, Sean.
Excuse me. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's very, very nice to have the backing of Motorsport South Africa. From what I understand, it hasn't been announced yet, but there's a lot of interesting rewards behind being successful in the series. I guess I better wait until it gets announced before I say something. But it's really nice. It's good to see that we have the Motorsport South Africa backing sim racing. I mean, it's, in the greater scheme of things, it's not shall I say, it's not an old sport, it's a new sport. So it's really nice to see that they are willing to accept that this is a form of racing, and there are some really good drivers, especially for the future, like young Scott here. I think it's really, really exciting that they're involved.
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing. And Fred, it's good to see you again. I hope that your connection...
Sorry, man. Just having problems the whole time.
That's all right. What is your opinion on the new MSA Championship that's coming up? Are you looking forward to all of that?
Yeah, well, hopefully I'll be able to take part fully, because I've missed the whole of the past season with problems with my eyes, so I had to stand down for the SMA season. So we're having some slow progress, but it's coming right, and I'm hoping to be able to take part. But I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. That's it. And here's a question for you. Motorsport never stands still, and I think it's the same with sim racing. And there's always new games coming. You've got things like Le Mans Ultimate that a lot of people quite like. There's AC Evolution and things like that. Where do you see GT7 going? What do you think might be in GT8? Or what would you like to be in GT8? I'll go to Chicken Wing. What would you like to see in the next game?
So for me, because I love Formula One, I know Formula One's contract with EA Sports is ending this year. So if there's any way that maybe Sony, PlayStation can sign a contract with Formula One for say for the next 4 or 5 years, it will be amazing because if Formula One comes to South Africa, we will have the opportunity to drive on Kyle Army. So yeah, as well as maybe not rally cars, more hybrid cars will be also amazing. And more licensed tracks. Because on Gran Turismo, there's a lot of tracks that is like fictional. So sometimes it's very hard to get used to the tracks because normally on like Formula One or ACC, basically with the muscle memory, you remember the tracks out of your head. So yeah.
That's that's great. And to you, Scott, what do you think, or what would you like to see in GT8?
I would like to see, obviously, our home track, Kyle Army. That would be really, really cool. I would also like to see the game lean more towards a simulator rather than a arcade game. I want Gran Turismo to get some more respect in the racing community.
Yeah. And to you, Sahida, what would you like to see in GT8?
I haven't played any of the other previous ones. GT7 is my first one. And I believe there were certain things that you were allowed to do in lobbies where you could, if a host has to all of a sudden leave, someone else could take over. So bring back things like that, that would make the game even more interesting for people to not have like, guys, I have to close the lobby, I need to leave. Your gaming goes on and stuff like that. And more freedom to do certain things that you want to do, set up your cars the way you want to set them up,
Yeah. I know a lot of people like setting them up with a bit more variation. It's quite kind of, I suppose, not as easy to do at the moment. And to Sean, what would you like to see in GT8?
I second what Scott said regarding Kyle Army, and also I suppose Chicken Wing or Stephen also said Kyle Army would be great. I've done Kyle Army a lot on motorbikes, so I know the track and the different variations that it's had. What I'd actually like to see is a track design tool within GT8. So where you could design a track that you like, or if it's not available as one of the licensed tracks in the game, you can go and replicate, I don't know, let's say the old Hockenheim circuit, and put that into a game and create lobbies around it. I would like to see that.
It used to be in GT6.
Yeah.
That's
and it was brilliant. You could design some incredible tracks. A lot of fun.
I never did that on that. I didn't realize that was available. I did have most of the games, but I was always either on multiplayer or just a single player. That was it, getting the licenses and that kind of thing. But yeah, it'd be nice to see if we could build something like that. And as you say, a few more kind of F1 style cars. I always thought it'd be quite nice if they had a kind of Formula Ford style car, a kind of basic entry level single seater with no downforce, like they have on iRacing. I think that would be an amazing car to drive, and I'm sure it would be an interesting race A, probably at Tsukuba or wherever they would choose to put it. But yeah, I think cars like that would be pretty decent. Now, Sir Max has said, Sir Max has a great imagination here, because he said, "Is it true that I once tested the Renault Espace?" Now, is that assuming that might be the Renault Espace Formula One car?
F1.
But that would have been nice. I have actually. The funny thing is, I have met a few Formula One drivers and spoken to them. My kind of only claim to fame many years ago was when David Coulthard drove for McLaren back in, I think it was 1995. I used to be a McLaren kind of team member. What was all it was kind of like the supporters club, and you could be a McLaren team member. So I got the T-shirts, and there I was at just over on 20 years of age. There was a big kind of motorsport and kind of sports car show in Edinburgh, and being that David Coulthard was Scottish and was driving for McLaren, they'd asked him to turn up at the McLaren stand, thinking there's going to be thousands of people there, all wanting to see him and sign autographs. And in the great Scottish way, the turnout wasn't quite as good as they were expecting. and so
it was just close family and friends.
Yeah, I know. So, I thought no one's going to believe me, because I was walking around and there was hardly anybody at the trade stands, and I saw the Team McLaren stands. So, right, I'll go over there, because they promised you, I think they would sign your shirt or something, and they'd give you a little kind of takeaway thing. And who walks past me but David Coulthard, looking rather bored and fed up. And he saw that I had this Team McLaren T-shirt, and he stopped and he talked away to me. So for about 20 minutes, I had this chat with David Coulthard. And it was totally surreal, because I think, what do I ask him? He kind of like, there it is, he's driving for Formula One, being at one of the most pinnacle times in F1 history, replacing Ayrton Senna at Williams. I mean, all of the emotion and all of that. And he talked away, saying, what had happened and how it had all come into place. And so, yeah, it's an incredible time when you meet these Formula One stars. They are, saying never meet your heroes, but actually these guys, Formula One drivers, are something just a bit more special, aren't they? They seem to have that kind of attitude of they can see beyond what's going on, isn't it, with the way that they drive. And I always would have loved to have met Michael Schumacher. I think he would have been really interesting to me, and because of the way that he could think so far ahead when he drove. But are there any who are your favorite Formula One drivers, or do you follow Formula One at the moment? I'll ask. I'll go with Fred. Fred, you're in the dark there. I'll ask you first.
No, I watch all the races. Piastri.
Yeah,
that's the guy, and I'll tip him to win the World Championship this year.
Yeah,
I think he's got a bit more than Lando has got, but he just doesn't. He's sort of very low profile, but he gets the job done, and I think he's as tough as nails. He just doesn't come across like that. Yeah. So that would be Lando's biggest opposition this year, I would think.
Yeah. I don't think Lando's going to get it this year. I've just got a feeling between Piastri and Max, I think that's where it's maybe going to be. We'll have to wait and see, I think. But how about you, Sahida? Do you follow Formula One?
Back in the day, I used to follow Formula One, and then I stopped. But now recently, I don't support any team. I watch the races because of GT7, and I'm like, I know Spa, I know that track, I know Red Bull, so I can relate to the tracks more than before. So, that's. I'll be watching. I'm forced to watch, not forced to watch, but it's always on. So if it's on, I'm watching, but not supporting any particular driver or team.
Yes, it's hard, isn't it? I was a big Lewis Hamilton fan, but after Abu Dhabi 2021, I thought, I think that's it, finished. In terms of, I don't think he will win another title. I know he's struggling at Ferrari, but it's an interesting one, isn't it? It's kind of it took a little bit the life out of it for me after that. I think, and quite a lot of people, if you're either a Max fan or a Lewis fan, I think, wasn't it? It was. I didn't like the politics of it. It was becoming like they were just trying to the race kind of in chiefs were trying to make the race, weren't they? They weren't really allowing the race to actually happen. They were giving one person an advantage and then another person an advantage, and it was kind of too controlled. But at least now it seems to be it's gone back to letting them get on with it, and they've got rid of all the people who were perhaps not the best influences in the sport. But how about you, Chicken Wing? I know you like your F1. Do you have a particular driver that you support?
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm sponsored by Sparker. I'm a Red Bull fan. But like Fred said, Piastri is on a next level at the moment. I've never seen someone so calm and collected in a race. I think Lando Norris is getting too arrogant at the moment. But what you said about Hamilton, my dad always says, like, when you're on the end of your career or in any sport you did very well, is people will remember you, how you went out of the sport, not how well you did. And I think now that Hamilton is at Ferrari, he's like he wants to get his 8th championship with Ferrari, and at the moment it feels like he's literally taking someone's seat like Oliver Bearman. I mean, he is also a phenomenal driver. So it will be interesting to see how long Ferrari is gonna give Hamilton time, because I know Ferrari they won't, they like Red Bull, they're not gonna wait like a year or 2 years for him to perform. It's in or out. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure to see how that happens. Now we've got a quick couple of questions here. We have from Sir Mags, and it is for Fred. Is Sir Mags your favourite? Yes or yes?
What? No, Knuckles, you're not my favorite. He'll know what I mean.
Now, we also had a great question from Keith, all the way from Arizona. Does anyone watch IndyCar in South Africa? Do you ever watch the IndyCar? Yep. Chicken Wing watches it.
Yeah, I do as well.
Yeah, and Fred, yeah. It's quite. I was watching Roman Grosjean do it, because after he left Formula One, he went to IndyCar and he did pretty well. The racing looks amazing, actually. And I love the fact they've got a covered cockpit, or it's that kind of glass, like it looks like a plane, a fighter jet kind of thing that they have. But they do have quite a varying difference, I think, in driver performance. So I think that's their biggest thing, isn't it? You get a lot of drivers that might not be. It's not like Formula One, where you've got to get your license, get your points, and make sure that you're kind of capable. But yeah, no, it is exciting though, and yeah, I think the coverage is actually better. Even the American coverage is better than what we get on Sky half the time. They always miss all the main races, or they miss all the main battles, and concentrate on somebody in 13th, and just usually when the lead's about to change. That now Captain Slow has asked Fred, who is his favourite in TNR?
What's going on here? Shahid is.
Thank you, Uncle Fred.
That made it easy for me.
That's the thing. And Salim has said, give Hamilton a chance. Don't forget he won the sprint race. If the car feels good, he can still do something. Yeah, well, I'd like to think that, but yeah, it's always so disappointing. His qualifying's been terrible, and I'm as a Scotsman who loves rugby, every year we have the Six Nations, and every year we think we're going to win it. Oh, the commentators are saying, yeah, Scotland's finally going to do it, and they come like fourth. And well,
you've got enough South Africans in your team now to win.
I made the mistake of saying that in the first round when I interviewed Tier 1. I said, of course, we've got Van der Merwe. He's brilliant, and of course he's South African. And yeah, and it was like, and they all said, yeah, he's ours, kind of thing. So, but yeah, so no, that is the thing. That now Captain Slow has also asked Uncle Fred, when can myself and Corbin come for a cup of tea again? You must make a good cup of tea, Fred.
Just don't surprise me like you did last time. Make an appointment. They just arrived here, the two of them, one night at about 11 o'clock.
That's the thing.
But we had a good chat.
There was a question earlier, and it was for Sean. It was now, what crash helmet do you wear for Monday night's races?
The Bautista replica, especially with some of the other team members on track. I need my full leathers and helmet.
That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I was going to say, actually, one of my questions is, what's the best rig you've ever kind of used or had a go on? And what would be the rig of your choice? If you could build something that's amazing, what would it be? I'll start with you, Scott. What would you like?
Well, currently I'm using Logitech G923, so I'd really like a direct drive steering wheel. I do have a load cell, so that's useful. But yeah, just direct drive steering wheel. I like the Logitech Pro, but I know it's quite hard to get your hands on in South Africa.
Yeah.
Please, just a quick message to Scott's dad. Please do not get him a direct drive steering wheel. he's good enough.
Yeah, have more misery with your 923. That's why I had my 923. Oh, I couldn't stand it. It worked for about 2 weeks, and then it had all sorts of problems, and it took me a year to get rid of it. But no, it's I know what you mean. It's nice to get something that's direct drive if you can. I think that makes a big difference. And for you, Sahida, what would you like? What would be your next improvement? What are you going to ask your husband for your birthday?
Well, currently, I first have to get used to what I have. But I'm sure, wink, wink, in the near future, he'll probably get me Fanatec as well. And obviously a proper sim rig with a proper seat and screen mount and, just the aluminium rig, just something that you have in your own little corner and no one bothers you because he knows once I'm online, it's ours.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? But yeah, it's like, I mean, I have to say I've got a race sim, which is a kind of uniquely kind of British sim, although it's one that you can get from British suppliers, and it's my first proper rig that's actually quite rigid and quite decent. I was using a Playseat Challenge for about 7 years before that, and it used to bend. If you brake too hard, the whole thing moved up, So it's quite nice to get something that all stays in one place and gives you kind of a better feel. But there's so many setups now, isn't it? I mean, that's the thing. There's so many companies, whether it be like Track Racer, or Playseat, so many great equipment. Now, do you agree or disagree? Do you think having better equipment definitely helps you in the long term? I'll come to you, Chicken Wing.
Definitely. When I bought now my T300 wheelbase with the pedals, and I have actually the SF1000 Ferrari wheel add-on, and I was actually looking at your wheelbase to import from the UK, and because like I always wanted a direct drive, and I actually asked George Kennels that, like, what is the big difference between the wheel that you have and the T300? So he said basically it's just like smoother and stuff. But the force feedback that the T300 actually gives you is surprising compared to, say, Fanatec and Moza, because for me it feels basically like proper Fanatec wheelbase, and I mean it's not that expensive. So yeah, but also a better racing seat because of my back. So to be more comfortable with, say, endurance races and so on will be very helpful.
Yeah. You do find you need lots of padding and things, isn't it, to get the driving position just right, even when you get a new rig that's a proper one in terms of how rigid it might be. I've found that it was like you were sitting on the metal base, even though it had a bit of Velcro and a kind of cushion. I've had to put other cushions in just to try and make it a bit more comfortable. But yeah. And how do you find, because your races are quite long, many of them 50 laps or up to 50 minutes, depending on how long the track is. Do you find that it kind of tires you out once you've kind of finished the race? Are you kind of ready to relax a bit, or are you still full of energy? I'll go to Sean first of all.
Well, I'm 50 years old, so 50 minutes of doing anything is quite stressful. But yeah, you're concentrating so hard and you're so focused, you don't really notice it that much while you're driving. What I do notice is the heat. So I've got a big fan now that blows over me, and that helps. It stops you from sweating too much. So yeah, I just noticed the heat really, but afterwards, I always have a little beverage handy, and while I watch the Tier 1 race on YouTube.
And you can relax when you do that then. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah. How about you, Scott? Do you find that you've got lots of energy to go through the whole race and you're ready for more at the end of it?
Well, I think a direct drive steering wheel would be a lot more tiring, but mentally, when I first started the championship, I did get quite tired afterwards, and I was sweating all the time. But nowadays, not so much. I mean, on a hard track, maybe when I'm struggling, but if I'm just comfortable and doing my own thing, I don't really get too stressed out, not too tired, and I just manage.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's the thing. That so now I'm looking at the comments here, and Nicholas Van Staden is saying, "Old Bailey, old Sean." We're having there with the drink there in the background. That and Whipperman says Sean has a bottle holder in his rig.
I actually do. I'd show it to you just now if there's time. But there's a bottle holder right where the gear lever would be. It's actually a gear shift mount, and I've replaced it with a bottle holder.
That's quite good, though, isn't it? It means you can have a water or something else or whatever you might need at the right time.
Yes, obviously.
Of course, yes, exactly. That now Keith Waonia said he put a cooling seat pad meant for a car onto his sim rig to cool him down. That's quite an interesting thing. I would say I quite like those things they have in Formula One. When they use, when they before the race, if it's like Singapore, they have those big kind of ice packs, don't they? They put them over their shoulders as they're kind of walking around the grid and to the near their car, and that kind of keeps them all cool and hydrated, isn't it, to stop the heat? And Dicky is saying that his Logitech is just as old as you, Jet. So yeah,
yes, it is.
Yeah, well,
just to talk about earlier, you were asking about whether the equipment will make a difference. I would say that it helps you get better. Excuse me. It's what I've found is it's more consistent. You're able to do more consistent lap times, and as an example, between the T300 and the Fanatec, I'm able to catch a slide more often with the Fanatec than I was able to with a T300. I'm not saying you can't be faster with a cheaper wheel. I know in Tier 1, I think there's guys on a G29, or even higher than that, there's guys on controller still. So it's not necessarily the price or a better machine that'll make you faster. It just helps you get faster, I think.
Yeah. Now, what do you think of all the big sponsors as well? Because we've got the Simulator Cave, we've got the Golfing Academy. I know that Simulator Cave is very big in South Africa. Have any of you ever actually been to the Simulator Cave and had a look at what they have and had a go on their simulators and looked at their stock?
Yeah, Simulator Cave, the guy's name is Gert. I got my kit from him, and he is super knowledgeable, very friendly, and he's passionate about sim racing. So there's nothing better than, if you go to a car dealership and you know more about the car that you want to buy than the salesperson, I ask the salesperson.
Yeah.
With Gert, you ain't going to know more than him. He knows exactly, based on what your needs are, what sim you should buy.
That's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah. We don't really have anything like that over in the UK. A lot of different suppliers, or you can buy everything online, but that's the thing. And talking of Thrustmaster, at the moment in Britain, you can get a T300 as a starter for just £130 on Amazon, which is a pretty good deal for us over here, certainly.
You'll pay more than that secondhand in South Africa.
Really?
Yeah.
Way more.
Yeah, no, it's quite. Amazon is pretty good. I actually got my T598 from there because the Thrustmaster website was sold out for months and months. But I used to go to, I'd watch Rory Alexander, the areas, and he'd have a link for it. And every time I'd click that link, it was always out of stock. So in the end, I had to get it from Amazon. That was where it was. Either it was Amazon or eBay. Always seems to be quite a decent run to try and find different bits of equipment and things like that. Now, Fred, I'll go back to you because I know earlier you were talking about Quali Kings and how that was. We were after you got disconnected. I asked the question of what people's favourite daily race Quali King kind of combinations are. But it would be good to hear your idea on what's your favorite combination, and how do you rate the drivers who are involved in Quali Kings?
Yeah, I think I got cut off when I was going to say that it went from a very social thing to us then transforming it a little bit and trying to see how far up the leaderboards we could get the South African drivers and the South African flag. And then we had kind of an explosion of, I mean, this year I think we've had over 80 guys. Shahida, I think it's 80 roughly, that entered.
Yeah, we had over 80 members that entered, about 78 to be exact.
Yeah, and it's just that what that does is we have different tiers for the different levels of guys. So that you're racing or you're competing with guys on the same level as you or more or less, and that the guys push each other. It's a great little community. The guys encourage each other and they push each other to go quicker and quicker, and there's no big prizes up for it. Anything, you get a certificate if you finish in the top 3 of your tier. But it's all about trying to get our racing drivers to better themselves.
Yeah.
And so that repetitive, a lot of guys don't like that repetitive thing of doing laps over and over again, but it does help you improve your skills.
Yeah.
There's no replacement for your racing skills in lobbies. If you're just a hot lapper, you're going to struggle in races for consistency. So get fast. The guys have been using the Quali Kings to get quicker and then join the league, and then they got to learn some racecraft and stuff. But overall, they become better racing drivers.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Has there ever been a combination?
That's more or less it.
Has there ever been a combination that you thought you might struggle with, and actually you did a lot better than you thought you would? I'll go to Scott first of all.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but around about 2 weeks ago, there was a really, really oversteery car. I can't remember what it was called. A Honda S2000, and I managed at the beginning of the week. I was useless at traction on.
That was what it was. Yeah.
By the end of the week, I managed to really get hold of it, and I managed to come first in the Quali Kings.
That's pretty good going. Yeah, I tried that, and I looked at it at first thing Monday morning, and I went, "Oh no!" And I thought, "How am I going to do a race A?" Because I was thinking, right, I'll do a stream, and I saw a race A. I thought, I'm not even going to try. And I did a little bit of qualifying with it, but I was nowhere because some cars, I think you have a feel for certain combinations that kind of work. I quite like Group 4, quite like Group 3. And I do like a lot of the road cars on race A because they can be quite fun. I wish they would give us a little bit more because, I mean, the GT7 has an incredible garage of cars. They've got these Ferrari 250 GTOs. It'd be nice if they could put some of their historic stuff and then you could just rent it so that, even if if you're not able to buy it, you could rent it and then do a race A with it. Because I think, something like a Ferrari 250 GTO at Monza, the old style without the chicanes, or even at Goodwood, that would be quite a good, because it's like a classic combination. I think that would really get people going. For a while, I did some lobbies that were always kind of mad. I would have like the Super Formula cars at Goodwood, and they were crazy because we'd have about 8 or 9 people in the race because it's so fast. But we did actually get quite a lot of overtaking, which was quite fun. And we had people like Kiwi, who's normally in Tisney's videos because he's a kind of race A specialist. So he would always come in and race along, which was great fun. But I like cars. It's got to be. I find that if you get the right road car, it can be amazing. I think one of my favorite road cars in GT7 are the Porsches. I like the Cayman, and the 911 is at the GTR RS. What do you think of some of the road cars? Do you have some favorite road cars in GT7? I'll start with you, Sahida.
Well, my favorite back in, I haven't done any dailies in forever, but I enjoy the R34, the R32s. Those are my favorite road cars. And when we have a road car with Quali Kings, I enjoy that as well, because every week is either a GR4 or a GR3, and hitting Quali Kings with Fred as well. You know, on a Monday morning, I have to decide what track we're going to do. And it's a bit tricky because, you know, half of the guys are going to hate you for it. Other guys, half is going to love the track. So it's so whenever there's a road track, because we have so many, either GR4, GR3, okay, I'm giving my secrets away now, so they know what's going to happen with this next season. You know, I'll choose one of those, because you can't just stick to GR4, GR3. Like even the one that we had at Monza with the F1 car. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed that one.
That was good fun.
I thought like first lap out, second lap out, I can't get through the chicane, and eventually I think I finished 4th in the log that week. So I really enjoyed that track that week.
It was quite a tricky car to drive. You had to put a bit of traction control on, wasn't it? That was the thing. It was very twitchy.
Yeah.
But I'm quite pleased that they've got a kind of V12 F1 style car.
And just to add on to our members, so we have the youngest, which is 14, and the oldest, I think he is 73, and he competes as well. Yeah. So yeah, there's no age restriction when it comes to Quali Kings.
Yeah, I know, that's fantastic. And to you, Chicken Wing, what's your favorite Quali Kings combination?
I didn't do a lot of the Quali Kings combination time trial thingy, but if I would choose a car, I would say I think the Mustang is a nice car, and as well as the Porsche 911. Oh, that car is like a dream. The traction and stuff that the car has is just phenomenal. So yeah, I would say that too.
Yeah, the Porsches I do think are really rather nice to drive. I like one of my favorite cars is the Ferrari Enzo, and they've got an Enzo. They've got an Enzo FXX as well. And so I made sure whenever they came up in the, you know, when they have the hot cars and the kind of classic cars that you can buy, I bought them, and I thought, yeah, it's such a nice car. I always remember watching. It was a Ferrari Enzo FXX. I think it was driving. It wasn't Spa. I think it was a track in Portugal. One of the and it was this beautiful thing, and the noise from the onboard. They had a passenger who was carrying what looked like a McDonald's kind of soda in one hand and hanging on to the grab handle in the other, as this chap raced around the track. And the noise and the steering and the brakes and everything, you know, just felt, oh, well, there's still a kind of masterpiece of art in some of those cars, and that's what makes GT7 so nice, because we can experience some of that as well as it goes. That now there was a question for Sean. It was, do you like the Aston Martin Valkyrie?
You've got all day.
That's it. I take that to yes. Yeah, because of course that is going to be the combination this week. Yeah, I can't actually believe we've been going for over an hour and 3 minutes.
Sorry, I was on mute there. I think that question was from Nico, because we were in a lobby together and he was trying to teach me how to get around the track in one piece. It's an exciting car. It's exhilarating. The noise, the performance is incredible, but to manage the tires over a 50-minute race is going to be very challenging.
Yeah, indeed. That's the thing. And to Fred, Sir Mags claims that you like the Samba bus. Is that true?
Well, it kind of goes with my age and speed now. It's sort of where I'm heading to very rapidly, yes.
The Samba bus is quite fun. And what did they brought out a Renault, a Renault Kangoo recently. They have got some funny cars that they bring to the game. I mean, I think the next update's going to have a Fiat Panda from 1993, which
or
is
a
not
Cube.
Yeah, Nissan Cube. It's like, I mean, they weren't even popular even in Japan. It was like a bit of a flop. It's almost, I wish actually they could really have the Top Gear presenters choosing the cars. It'd be a bit better. I think they need to get Jeremy Clarkson to come in and say, right, we need something with a bit more power, a bit more fun, and that, but yeah, because some of the cars they have, you just think, well, nobody would buy that anyway. It's almost like we don't want a kind of Vauxhall Mucka or something like that. We want something with a bit more kind of sporting ability. I'd love to see like the Renault Megane RS, the last Renault Megane 280 RS is a lovely car. That I know they've got the Focus, well, haven't they? They've got the Focus
RS.
the RS, yeah. But it would be nice, or some of the classic, because they make those. They go back to the originals, like the Ford Escort Mark 1. You can get it as a retro mod, and they're incredible. They've been on YouTube a bit, and then you can get an Alfa Romeo Giulia from the from the 60s. A rebuilt one of those, which is awesome. Because it's all stripped out. It's a lot of money.
£30,000. Yeah,
it's
lovely.
But I would quite like that one in GT7. I think, or Escort Mexico's RS2000s, something with a bit of character, a bit of kind of charisma, to kind of make you think, yeah, that's the kind of car we want to actually drive. Or do they have? I don't think they've got the Lancia Delta rally car, do they? Or a Stratos?
They do.
Do they have the Delta?
They've got the Lancia Delta, yeah.
All right, I'll have to have a go now. I've not driven that for a long time then. But yeah, things like that, or the original Audi Quattro, like the rally car version, they do have that, don't they? Well, they've got the Pikes Peak version of that.
Yes.
And I did like that they brought the Peugeot 205, GTI. That was good because I remember growing up with them. You didn't need to open the doors with a key because the build quality was so bad. You could just pull it and the door would open, kind of like an old classic Land Rover. They were built so badly. But now they're seen as a classic. Yeah, cars like that, at least it's quite fun that they come in. So we'll see how it goes. But we have the final race this Monday. Are you all looking forward to it? Are you ready to get that championship victory, to clinch, to get on the podium? What do you think is going to happen this week? Fred, I will start with you.
I'll be watching. I haven't taken part this season,
yeah. What about our drivers?
I will be watching the stream for sure.
Do you think, Fred, who do you think in our 4 drivers that we have in our stream tonight, who do you think is going to perform the best overall?
Yeah, he's my teammate, so I can't go from there.
You can be biased. That's all right.
He's over here. Scott was doing for practice for Daytona. Scott was doing quicker laps than Levitius was doing in race conditions. Yeah. He was doing 23.8 on his softs, which was just ridiculous. So yeah, he's got lots of ability and talent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh. And Chicken Wing, what do you think will be your chances this weekend or this Monday?
I'm actually at the moment in Pretoria at my fiance's house, and I will be back only on Sunday. So I will probably have a busy Sunday afternoon and night, and Monday, and I must do some media duties as well. So no, my weekend is completely busy, but obviously I will make time for SMA. I'm like I said, I've never driven the car before, so I'm nervous for that. Especially without traction and manual to drive manual. I think it's going to be a challenging car to drive.
Yeah. And to you, Sahida, what do you think for because you're in tier 4, but what do you think?
I'm in tier. Well, I've done a few practice rounds. Haven't done a full race yet. I'm hoping that I can do a full race either still after the stream. Go and practice a bit. Car is tricky to drive. Getting around all those bends, you're always either outbraking yourself and also using the overtake. It's going to be tough. So yeah, I'm hoping to at least finish top 5 max.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. And to you, Sean?
My chances are partly cloudy with a chance of tire smoke.
That's hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything in my power. I'm going to put in a lot of practice. It's the last race of the season. I think I'm sitting 5th or 6th in tier 3. So I'd like to get a bit closer to the top 3. By the way, it's nice to see what Scott looks like from the front, because I've only seen him from behind for the last few races. So nice to meet you. Yeah, it would be nice to get a podium. It's nice to get a podium, but yeah, it's going to be, I think the most consistent driver will get onto the podium.
Fantastic. Well, I wish you all the best of luck on Monday for your respective tiers. It'll be great to see how well you do. And it's been fantastic being able to talk to you tonight and find out more about your sim racing history and what you think of SMA and how things have gone and going forward the future. So please let us know how you get on. Keep in touch on Discord. And you're always welcome anytime on the show. And for everybody watching as well, if you like interviews, we thank you very much for supporting the channel today. But we've also got lots of interviews with drivers like Super GT. We've even got Tidgney, and we've got Key 25 and Rory Alexander. And hopefully we're going to have Rory back on the show again quite soon as well. So we've got big plans, and we'll be covering the MSA Championship as well with more interviews. And of course, next week, we'll be interviewing the Tier 4 drivers. And after everything will be finished, it'll be interesting to see exactly how they got on. But it's fantastic to have you on the show all tonight. Please stay on the line as we close the show. But to everybody watching, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you haven't subscribed to the SMA Championship, make sure you do. The link is in the description. It would be great to have you alongside. And our big race on Monday for Tier 1 is normally it's about 8:15 p.m. South Africa time, 7:15 p.m. UK time. There's 10 minutes of quali, and then the race will start. The final race of the SMA 500 GT500 Season 1 Championship will be coming to a close this Monday. So it's fantastic to have you all there. So as the motto goes on the Hugh Hatrick channel, drive fast and try not to crash. Take care, everyone. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you very soon. Bye just now.
Cheers, Hugh.